Hey, how's it going, guys? So this is going to be a brief technical tutorial on using Clay to enrich your data with Google search results. So I got the inspiration for this from Jordan Crawford on LinkedIn. I'm going to include a link to this post in the video description. But the gist of it is that Google is an incredible research tool for any kind of outbound marketing. There's not, not saying anything that isn't obvious, but the cool thing is you can structure your queries in such a way to get really particular information. So, like things like number of employees, the revenue, how much funding they got. Because you can do is certain websites they make it a point to show like that kind of information about it. About so, for example, Zoom Info uh, is the one he's got linked. So, if we're going to take this query, it's right in here, but we're going to show it again. So, if you're not familiar, look up advanced Google queries. Basically, what's going on here is we have it so this site colon, we're looking for any website. We're looking at the sites to say zoominfo.com/c. We're looking for Clay in there. We specifically want to see employees by management level. So you can see down here, total employees 30. Cool, that's what we want to see. And you can reverse engineer this and tweak it according to what you want. Like you could look at things for like the org chart, whatever other information if you want their total funding, the recent funding, number of funding rounds, whatever you want. And you can do this obviously for other sites, but we're just focusing on Zoom Info for right now because so what we're going to do is like we could do this manually for hundreds of these, or we can do it programmatically using a tool called SerperDev. Basically, what it'll let you do is you pass these queries off and you can keep dynamically changing it. So you could have like clay.com, anthropic.com, openai.com, Apollo.io, etc., etc., whatever we want. So I'm going to show you how to actually get that. So I'm going to pause this for a second. Cool. So we've got serper.dev's playground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to translate this stuff into something you can actually put into Clay. So I'm going to close this real quick. So I'm going to add a column, add enrichment. So we're going to add an HTTP API. So if you're unfamiliar, this just lets us make API requests to third-party platforms. So say you're using Clay and you know there's some data enrichment tool that you really want to use, but they don't make it available. Like some of the really popular ones like OpenAI, they just have a direct integration. But the nice part is, even if they don't have it, you can probably get it somehow using this. So what we're going to do is so this method, crudely, this stuff refers to databases. So get would just mean like get an existing record. Post means create a new record. In this context, a record just means a Google search. So we're going to look over here. We're going to go into this. So the endpoint is just the URL. It's basically the same as putting this into your browser, or like rather putting this into your browser, because it's saying, hey, we're going to send some information to this and we're going to get some information back. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is we're going to want to look at the query string. So you can see here, Q, site, Zoom. So we're going to change that to Q. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do, come on. This part, since this is the part we want to be dynamic, change that, change it to company domain. Cool. And you can change the employees by management level to, I'm going to just change it to total employees. You might want to play around with it. Like, it's going to depend on the data that you're dealing with. So you're going to want to change this query accordingly. You might even want to try making multiple columns with each one of these just to see, hey, if you got 10,000 companies and you don't know what kind of results you're going to get, you might say, all right, well, we expect this to work 20% of the time. And then you just come up with 10 different variations. And then that way you get results for all of them. Cool. So the next thing that we're going to need is we're going to need so we're going to add these headers. So I'm going to add in XAPI key, change that. see, and you can add other conditional stuff, like you can add this auto update. I'm going to leave that on for right now. Let's see. Actually, no, I'm going to close this one. That can be important if you're dealing with a lot of records and you're testing and you don't want to just start wasting API keys. All right, so is there anything else I need to add? Doesn't look like it. I'm going to pause this video while I add my API key. Let's see, all right, it's running real quick, or let's see, I'm going to try to run this and see what happens. See if we get an error. All right, cool. So we got a 200, meaning it worked. Let's take a look. Cool. So these are the kind of results that we'd expect. Now, you can see all this URL is a little different than the other ones. This one's got the HTTPS. And I did that on purpose because this is going to break. Doesn't look like it. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay. So I guess it didn't break in this case, but it's I've had this break in the past. So what you want to do is you want to include just the base domain name. So you don't want to include like the HTTPS or the ://www dot. Ideally, you just want to have like OpenAI.com, Apollo.com, Jasper.ai, etc. It's given fewer errors, though in this case it didn't have one, so I would make sure to include that with your data cleaning. I'm going to pause this video and real quick and run this for the rest. Okay, cool. So I'm going to take a look at the search results. So what this is giving us a list of JSON objects. So a JSON object is a series of key value pairs. It's basic data type in anything programming. It's basically going to be the default that you'll see for most REST APIs. So it's pretty intuitive to parse, but it basically, you can see here, it's like, all right, we're getting 10 results. So it starts with a 0 and it goes up to 9, so it's 10. And these just mirror the Google search. So this is the part that we actually care about. So you can see in here how many top contacts, blah, blah, blah. Total employees, 800. So in this case, I presume you guys only care about getting the actual, the number. So we're going to parse that out using Claude. So I'm going to add an enrichment. Cool. So Claude, generate text. So I don't know what your experience has been with using AI to extract data, but sometimes it can be a pain in the ass. So you'll say, hey, here's a paragraph that has information about someone. Just extract their name. And then we'll give you a response saying, the person's name is XYZ. And all you wanted was XYZ. So here's a prompt that I'm using to actually get this information. So what I did was I just described the prompt that I wanted Claude to create. Said I want to create a prompt to instruct a large language model to do blah, blah, blah. You guys can just copy and paste this later. And I also included the text snippet. And this is ultimately what it's giving me to extract that information. So I'm going to go down here, paste that in. So I'm going to do this as text and go down here to 0, and then we're going to snippet. Okay. Required inputs missing. All right, got to pick. So I'm going to pick the Haiku model because it's the cheap one. You can use multiple providers if you were so inclined. Like you could use OpenAI. I just prefer Claude and Anthropic. So do save. Oh, right after I turn that off. Save. Do click to run. Click to run. All right, cool. So we're getting some results. Yeah, these should match. Yeah, and the reason that we have it set up like this is, because we go in here, okay. So open this. Actually, take a look. Yeah. And mind you, like you can see this 2837 number down here. There are, so you're gonna want to have some familiarity with this data, and you're going to be careful with your prompting, like the fact that it said 2837. That's probably not what we're looking for, because it's saying total employees 800. So you definitely want to have your own quality control in here. But this is just an example of how you can use use Clay along with SERPRDev to get Google search results. You can use tools like, or you can have it search sites like ZoomInfo to find relevant business data like number of employees, revenue, funding rounds, etc. And then once you actually get the data you want, you can use a large language model like Claude to actually clean up the data and say, look, we only want a specific number from this text result. We don't want all this other garbage. So it's easier to filter and process and do other kinds of cool things with. So let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, if you hated it, if you'd like other information, if you'd like to see other videos or other technical tutorials on how to do cool things with Clay. Cool. Hope you guys got something out of this. Take care.